everybody, this is Cabe Clark here at Clark Sparks Welding. Uh, Today I wanted to go over how to read blueprints and um, how to do takeoffs to help you guys get a little more versatile out in the field and go over a little bit what you need and hopefully help some of the younger guys or someone who doesn't know exactly what they're doing yet get a better understanding of how to do this. So some of the things that we'll need before we get started is you're going to need some writing utensils. When I'm out in the field, I carry more than one, just because I don't ever want to have something not work and me not be able to do my job effectively. You'll need a calculator, or your phone works great too. Your Pipefitters blue book, if you have one. If not, I'll put a link to where you can get one on Amazon, and then something to write on. So these are all things that you're going to carry with you when you go on your first job and every job after that. So if you want to follow along with me today, um, now would be the time to stop the video and go get the things that I'd mentioned, so you can follow along and work out some of these problems with me. So as you can see, I got this blueprint laid out in front of me, or this ISO. I've got this piping ISO laid out in front of me, and I'm going to go over the parts of it first, so that for those who, like I said, don't have reading these, they can kind of see and start to understand a little bit of how these work. So the first thing that I want to go over is the bill of materials. This is probably one of the first things that I'm looking at before I even look at the print. I'm going to look at the bill of materials, see how much pipe I'm going to need, see what fittings I'm going to need, and I'm going to gather all that up and get it ready so that I can be quick and move efficiently as possible, because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to stay efficient and not have to sit and um, understand these and try to figure it out for time. I want to get these and get it done so I can move on to the next thing. So that's the first part, is the bill of materials, and you'll find that usually in the top right corner of your prints. The next thing is the notes. You'll see in here there's these notes that were made, letting us know, like for example, this number 2 note says contractor shall add 6 inches of pipe for a field fit weld. So if I had a field fit weld, then I'd know I need to add 6 inches to the end of it to make sure I end up at the correct length, because it might be a little bit off from what the engineers originally had said. So those two are super important. Always go over the notes before you build anything, and read your bill of materials first. Down here in the bottom right, you'll find your title block. That's what usually it's a little more detailed than pipe isometric. It'll tell you what line is for and what's running through the line and things like that. So yeah, now let's get into reading the actual print and doing your takeoffs and getting ready to build this piece. What we're working with here, I read in my bill of materials, is 6-inch, some 6-inch carbon. So I'm going to write that down on my piece of paper, so I know I've got 6-inch carbon. And what I like to do, this is just the way that I do it. Some people might do it a different way, and that's totally fine, but this is the way that I help myself keep it organized and make sure that I can minimize the mistakes. So I like I know that I've got these pup pieces, right? Where there's my 90s, and then there's these runs of pipe in between them. And so what I like to do is label them as, I'll start here and I'll say this is A, this one's B, C, D, E, and F, or however long it is, how many turns there are, whatever. So I'll start with marking down A, and so I can see here in A, I've got 6 feet 10 inches, or 6 feet 10 and 5/8 inches. From the end, from the face of flange to the center of my 90. One thing that you gotta catch here is we've got a flange going in right here, and it's not going from this face of the flange. It's going from where it's going to connect to and bolt up to. So that means I have to go in here to my bill of materials, see that I have an 1/8 inch thick gasket, and add that in for account for that in my measurement. So I noticed that there, so I'm going to write down plus 1/8 of an inch. I know that my total is 6 feet 10 and 5/8 inches. One really good tip that I'll give you is memorize the decimal the decimal version of these. It'll help simplify it when you're plugging it into your calculator and help you be a little bit more smooth and quicker, and not get as jumbled up. So I know, like I had said, we've got 6 feet 10 inches or 10 and 5/8 inches. So I'm going to go here and I'm just going to convert everything to inches to keep it, like I said, really simple. So 6 times 12, that gives me 72. I add my 10, 82 inches, and my decimal for 5/8 is 0.625. So I have 82.625 inches, and I'm going to add 0.125 inches to account for my gasket. And so that leaves me with 82.75 inches. Now that I've got that, I know the total length from center to face of flange. So what I'll do now is I'll figure out what I have in this line, so what I need to take off. So I see here I've got a 6-inch flange, a 6-inch weld neck, 150-pound flange, and this is where your blue book will come in handy. I've already marked out the pages just for convenience of this video, but you'll go here, open up your blue book on page 10. You can find there's a chart of these flanges in here, the slip-on weld neck. So we know we're doing a weld neck. So I'm going to go here to my nominal pipe size. I know I'm working with 6-inch, so I'm going to go to 6-inch and go over to my weld neck flange. And I've got, looks like a takeout of 3.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and write this at the top of my paper. 6-inch flange is equal to 3.5 inches. That's what I'm taking out. And I know I've got a 90 in there. So you can find your 90s one of two ways. You can find it in the blue book, which is probably the easiest way, or you can do the math, which is also it's super easy too, but if you're just not sure, the blue book will give you the right answer every time. The way that you do the math is you take 6, 1.5. So your nominal pipe size times 1.5, and that gives you 9 inches. So I know every time a 6-inch 90 is going to be 9 inches that I'm going to be taking out. So same thing with the flange. You just go here to your nominal pipe size, find 6 inches. We're working with, so you go to A, that's what you're trying to find. It gives you these dimensions. You go over here to A, find it. 6 inch 90 is 9 inches. So I've got 82 3/4. So we got 82 3/4. So I know I've got my flange here, so I'm going to subtract 3.5 inches off that. And then that gives me, I'm going to go here to my calculator just to make sure that I get this right. So I'm using a TI 30XA. You can get a nicer calculator, use your phone. I know sometimes they don't let you have your phones out in these plants. So I'd recommend getting just a pretty basic calculator, an expensive one, just to carry with you in the event that you can't use your phone. But so back to this, I did my 82 3/4 minus 3.5, and that gave me 79 1/4, or 79.25. So now I got that. Now I'm going to subtract a 6 inch 90 out of that, which is 9 inches. And so that gives me 70.25, or 70 1/4. So my cut length will be 70 1/4 inches. So then I'd go to B and just do the same thing. Section B here, and it says 9 foot 4 15/16. So that would be 9 times 12, which is 108, plus 4, 112.9375 is what 15/16 is as a decimal. So then I subtract off 9, and that gives me 103.9375, and that's for 190. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract off another 9 inches for my second 90, and that leaves me with 94.9375. And so once again, to keep it simple, usually what I'll do is I'll go back and convert these back into feet and inches instead of just inches. And so how you do that is I'll just divide it by 12. I get 7 feet minus 7 times it by 12. 7 feet 10, I'll minus the 10, times it by 16 to get my nearest 16th. And then that leaves me with 7 foot 10 15/16. And that would be my cut length for section B. So now we're on section 3, and it's really simple. This one is just 3 foot from center of 90 to center of 90. So if you're following along and doing this math along with me, I'd like to invite you to kind of do this one on your own. And I'm not going to explain anything. I'm just going to do it here in the video. And I'll do that, and you check and see if you get your answer the same as mine. Alright, so you should have ended up with the cut length being 1 foot and 6 inches, or 18 inches, whatever way is simpler for you is the way that you should do it. And so now this is where in here we go to our D length, our D section of this print. In here there's this little symbol, and so I don't to me, this kind of looks like a little bit like a valve almost, but I'm not really sure. So it's labeled here, which is why, again, why your bill of materials is so important. It's labeled as number 6. So I'm going to go here, look at my bill of materials, look up what 6 is on here, and it tells me, oh, this is a pipe support. So I don't have to do a takeoff for that because it just goes underneath the pipe or around the pipe and supports it and keeps it held whichever way direction it needs to be. So once again, I'm just gonna finish the rest of these, and then at the end we can kind of compare answers and see how we did. So now would be a good time to pause the video and work through the last 3 on your own. So I hope you guys learned a little bit from this video, and I hope you were able to the rest of those problems, the rest of those takeoffs on your own, pretty easily. I'll give you the answers and you can compare to what I got. So for that cut length D, I got 4 foot and 3/16 of an inch. For cut length E, I got 14 feet and 6 inches. And for cut length F, I've got 1 foot 6¼ inches. So like I said, guys, I hope that helped you out and I hope that answered your questions, and hopefully now that you've made it to the end of the video, I hope you don't have any questions. But like always, if you do, go ahead and drop those in the comments, and if I can't answer them, I'm sure somebody else who knows more than I do will help you out. But thanks for watching, and like this and share it with your friends or somebody who might need a little extra help.